Hi, it's Sue with today's Bible reading for February 8th, and I'm reading Leviticus 22 through 23 today. And this is the third to the last reading for this book. To me, it seems like we're flying through them. And I know some people don't like the book of Leviticus. I know one listener in particular that really doesn't like it. But to me, it's like you read along through the kind of monotonous stuff, and suddenly you discover a gem. It's like reading the genealogies that seem meaningless, and suddenly you stumble upon a missing, one of your jigsaw puzzle pieces that you've been looking for. It's like finding a, a vein of gold in the mine. It's fun to me. And so, I just read until there's a part that stands out to me that God uses to speak to me. He used a verse yesterday, seemingly right in the middle of minutia, you know, and it really stood out to me. I had to keep going back to this verse, and I'm looking forward to what more the Lord will show me from that section of yesterday's word. So I just want to encourage you, just hang in there. That's how you read the Bible. You read through the part you don't really get, and then you come to parts that you really do, where the Holy Spirit will use it and speak to you. And then you just move on. And over the years, over time, over the day, over the week, over the month, over the years, it begins to develop, like I said, into this finished work in your life, this jigsaw puzzle. If I can keep using that metaphor, it starts to fill in, and the picture becomes clearer and clearer. It's just wonderful. And it's a lifelong process, this process of learning the word, and this process of discipleship and growth in the Lord. It's lifelong, but it's just keeps getting better all the time, even in the hard times. So hang in there. All right, for today, Leviticus 22, verse 1. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Tell Aaron and his sons to separate themselves from the holy things of the children of Israel, which they make holy to me, and that they not profane my holy name. I am Yahweh. Tell them, if any one of all your offspring throughout your generations approaches the holy things which the children of Israel make holy to Yahweh, having his uncleanness on him, that soul shall be cut off from before me. I am Yahweh. Whoever, and Aaron already found that out the hard way with his two sons, Hophni and Phinehas. You'll probably remember that story if you've been following along. No, it wasn't Hophni and Phinehas. It was Dathan and Abiram, right? Verse 4. Whoever of the offspring of Aaron is a leper or has a discharge shall not eat of the holy things until he is clean. Whoever touches anything that is unclean by the dead, or of a man who has a seminal emission, or whoever touches any creeping thing whereby he may be made unclean, or a man from whom he may become unclean, whatever uncleanness he has, the person that touches any such shall be unclean until the evening, and shall not eat of the holy things unless he bathes his body in water. When the sun is down, he shall be clean, and afterward he shall eat of the holy things, because it is his bread. He shall not eat that which dies of itself or is torn by animals, defiling himself by it. I am Yahweh. They shall therefore follow my commandment, lest they bear sin for it and die in it. If they profane it, I am Yahweh who sanctifies them. No stranger shall eat of the holy thing. A foreigner living with the priest or a hired servant shall not eat of the holy thing. But if a priest buys a slave, purchased by his money, he shall eat of it, and those who were born in his house. Oops, bear with me, I lost my place. I found it. Let me back up to the beginning of that verse 11. But if a priest buys a slave purchased by his money, he shall eat of it, and those who are born in his house shall eat of his bread. If a priest's daughter is married to an outsider, she shall not eat of the heave offering of the holy things. But if a priest's daughter is a widow or divorced and has no child and has returned to her father's house as in her youth, she may eat of her father's bread, but no stranger shall eat any of it. If a man eats something holy unwittingly, then he shall add the fifth part of its value to it, and shall give the holy thing to the priest. The priest shall not profane the holy things of the children of Israel which they offer to Yahweh, and so cause them to bear the iniquity that brings guilt when they eat the holy things, for I am Yahweh who sanctifies them. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and to his sons and to all the children of Israel, to say to them, Whoever is of the house of Israel, or of the foreigners in Israel, who offers his offering, whether it is any of their vows or any of their free will offerings, which they offer to Yahweh for a burnt offering, that you may be accepted, you shall offer a male without defect of the bulls or of the sheep or of the goats, but you shall not offer whatever has a defect, for it shall not be acceptable for you. Whoever offers a sacrifice of peace offering to Yahweh to accomplish a vow, or for a free will offering of a herd or of a flock, it shall be perfect to be accepted. It shall have no defect. You shall not offer what is blind or injured, maimed, has a wart, is festering, or has a runny sore to Yahweh, nor make an offering by fire of them on the altar to Yahweh. Either a bull or a lamb that has any deformity or lacking its parts, you may offer for a free will. That you may offer for a free will offering, but for a vow it shall not be accepted. You must not offer to Yahweh that which has its testicles bruised, crushed, broken, or cut. You must not do this in your land. You must not offer any of these as the bread of your God from the hand of a foreigner, because their corruption is in them. There is a defect in them. They shall not be accepted for you. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, when a bull, a sheep, a goat is born, it shall remain 7 days with its mother. From the 8th day on it shall be accepted for the offering of an offering made by fire to Yahweh. Whether it is a cow or a ewe, you shall not kill it and its young. You shall not kill it and its young, both in one day. When you sacrifice a sacrifice of thanksgiving to Yahweh, you shall sacrifice it so you may be accepted. It shall be eaten on the same day. You shall leave none of it until morning. I am Yahweh. Therefore you shall keep my commandments and do them. I am Yahweh. You shall not profane my holy name, but I will be made holy among the children of Israel. I am Yahweh who makes you holy, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Yahweh. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel and tell them, the set feasts of Yahweh, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my set feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day is a Sabbath of solemn rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no kind of work. It is a Sabbath to Yahweh in all your dwellings. These are the set of feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their appointed season. In the 1st month, of the 14th day of the month, in the evening, is Yahweh's Passover. On the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. In the 1st day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no regular work, but you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh 7 days. In the 7th day is a holy convocation. You shall do no regular work. So those, I believe those are 2 special Sabbaths there. One at the beginning, one at the end of the week for this particular feast. Verse 9, Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel and tell them, when you have come into the land which I give you, and reap its harvest, then ye shall bring the sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. He shall wave the sheaf before God to be accepted for you. On the next day after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. On the day when you wave the sheaf, you shall offer a male lamb without defect, a year old, for a burnt offering to Yahweh. The meal offering with it shall be 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to Yahweh for a pleasant aroma. And the drink offering with it shall be of wine, the 4th part of a hin. You must not eat bread or roasted grain or fresh grain until the same day, until you have brought the offering of your God. This is a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. You shall count from the next day after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering. 7 Sabbaths shall be completed. The next day after the 7th Sabbath you shall count 50 days, and you shall offer a new meal offering to Yahweh. You shall bring out of your habitations 2 loaves of bread for the wave offering, made of 2/10 of ephah of fine flour. They shall be baked with yeast for the first fruits to Yahweh. You shall present with the bread 7 lambs without defect, a year old, 1 young bull, and 2 rams. They shall be a burnt offering to Yahweh, with their meal offering and their drink offerings, even an offering made by fire of a sweet aroma to Yahweh. You shall offer 1 male goat for a sin offering, and 2 male lambs a year old for a sacrifice of peace offering. The priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits for a wave offering before Yahweh with the 2 lambs. They shall be holy to Yahweh for the priest. You shall make proclamation on the same day that there shall be a holy convocation to you. You shall do no regular work. This is a statute forever in your dwellings throughout your generations. Excuse me. When you reap the harvest of your land, you must not wholly reap into the corners of your field, and you must not gather the gleanings of your harvest. You must leave them for the poor and for the foreigner. I am Yahweh your God. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, there shall be a solemn rest for you, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. So do you see here we had the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the first fruits, and now the Feast of Trumpets. So that's 4 altogether. So let me start back with 24. Speak to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, there shall be a solemn rest for you, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. And let me stop again. So those first ones were all in the spring. If we would go back and look, in case you didn't notice, and you don't know this yet, those first ones were the spring festivals. Now we're coming here, he said, in the 7th month. So you can see that's in the fall. So in the 7th month, I was trying to figure out how to explain that. I'm pausing because there are two different calendars. One starts in the fall in the Hebrew calendar, and one starts in the spring. But I won't go into all that. But anyway, this is a fall feast. Suffice it to say that this feast of the blowing of trumpets, it says, a holy convocation. You shall do no regular work. You shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, however, on the 10th day of the 7th month is the day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation to you. You shall afflict yourselves, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh. You shall do no kind of work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make atonement for you before Yahweh your God. Actually, let's see. Yeah, so that's the second one, right? The way it's written out sometimes in scripture, I'm not always clear where one leaves off and the other one starts. But you have the harvest festival. No, I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong. Um, because I think the first fruits is the harvest festival, and now I probably confused everybody. But um, again, suffice it to say, there are the spring feasts and the fall feasts. And here, the part we left off on, he's talking about the Day of Atonement. It shall be a holy convocation to you. You shall afflict yourselves, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh. You shall do no kind of work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make atonement for you before Yahweh your God. For whoever it is who shall not deny himself in that same day shall be cut off from his people. Whoever does any kind of work in that same day, I will destroy that person from among his people. You shall do no kind of work. It is a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It shall be a Sabbath of solemn rest for you, and you shall deny yourselves. In the 9th day of the month at evening, from evening to evening, you shall keep the Sabbath. And I believe this is the only commanded fast in the Bible as well. Verse 33, Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say, on the 15th day of this 7th month is the Feast of Booths. For 7 days to Yahweh, on the first day shall be the holy convocation. You shall do no regular work. 7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh. On the 8th day you shall be a holy convocation to you. You shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly. You shall do no regular work. So that is the Feast of Tabernacles there. It's called the Feast of Booths or Tabernacles or Tents. Excuse me. And if all this is new for you, these feasts of the Lord, do yourself a favor and Google it and go to the images, and you'll see a nice, neat list there, and you'll understand much better what I just said about them. Excuse me again. You'll see that they're divided up spring and fall, and then you have the summer in between called the long, hot summer, which some call that the church age, between the first spring feast that Jesus fulfilled, and then this church age is time of the church until Jesus comes and fulfills those last feasts. So go ahead and look it up. It'll help you. And another thing that will help too is that there are 7, but some people, I'm not going to say some people, you can group them together to where there are actually three main ones, and those other 4 kind of come up under the other categories. So it just depends on how you look at it. So don't get confused if you hear them distinguish between 3, 4, or 7 feasts. And again, if you look on Google Images, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It'll help. Okay. Where did I leave off here? Verse 37. These are the appointed feasts of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh, a burnt offering, a meal offering, a sacrifice, and a drink offering, each on its own day. In addition to the Sabbaths of Yahweh, in addition to your gifts, and in addition to your vows, in addition to your freewill offerings, which you give to Yahweh. So on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered the fruits of the land, you shall keep the feast of Yahweh 7 days. On the first day shall be a solemn rest, and on the 8th day shall be a solemn rest. You shall take on the first day the fruit of the majestic trees, branches of palm trees, boughs of thick trees and willows of the brook, and you shall rejoice between Yahweh your God. Before Yahweh your God, 7 days. You shall keep it as a feast to Yahweh 7 days in the year. It is a statute forever throughout your generations. That's why it's still celebrated today. You shall keep it in the 7th month. You shall dwell in temporary shelters for 7 days. All who are native born in Israel shall dwell in temporary shelters. Now you can still see today. You could Google this too. And again, I'm addressing people who are brand new to Bible and to this history. You can Google now the Festival of Tents, or it's called the Festival of Shelters or the Feast of Shelters. Look that up, and you will see that even today in Israel, during this feast, people put up tents. They're called sukkahs. They put up tents outside of their homes. And some just eat there every day, and some actually go all out and dwell in those tents during the entire week. So it says, all who are native born in Israel shall dwell in temporary shelters, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in temporary shelters when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh your God. So Moses declared to the children of Israel the appointed feasts of Yahweh. So see there, that part of Leviticus to me is really interesting. So you can make a mental note that Leviticus 23 talks about the feasts of the Lord. That's where they're stored. That's where they're located. That's their address in the Torah. If you ever want to go look that up again. Okay, well, thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed it. I definitely did. I feel revived. I feel encouraged, and I just get energy from reading the Word of God. So I just bless you today, and I'll see you next time.